The Union Hotel, featured on our last stop, made its owner, Jacob Barndollar, a very rich man. And Jacob used that money to leave his permanent mark on the town. Jacob Barndollar donated the money to build this, the Methodist Church here in Bloody Run, in 1859. Folks still call it the Barndollar Methodist Church to this day. Jacob's nephew, John Barndollar, would also leave his permanent mark on the town in 1873. That year, John Barndollar presented a petition to rename the town at a borough council meeting. Now, it wasn't unanimous, but a majority of Bloody Run citizens did vote to rename the town, and in 1873, Bloody Run was officially renamed Everett. The town's namesake was this man, Edward Everett. Edward Everett had been a Massachusetts senator, a governor, a minister, and he was also the greatest orator of his day. But today, Edward Everett is probably best remembered for a speech that he didn't give in 1863. November 1863, Abraham Lincoln was asked to provide a few comments at the dedication of a Civil War cemetery in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. But Lincoln was not the featured speaker. President Lincoln did just as he was asked. He provided a few comments that took less than 3 minutes to deliver. You know those brief comments as the Gettysburg Address, regarded as one of the greatest speeches in American history. The featured speaker that day was Edward Everett. So you probably know of Edward Everett as the other speaker at the Gettysburg Address.
The people shall not perish from the earth.
By the time we took the new name of Everett, traffic patterns here had changed dramatically. The era of the Conestoga wagon, it was long over, since the railroad now provided a cheaper way to haul freight through the mountains. Light wagons were still passing through town, as East Coast families started moving into the American West. But freight tolls on the Turnpike, they dropped significantly. Less maintenance money was coming in, so road conditions worsened, with ruts, washouts, and rickety bridges. To compensate for the lost freight revenue, the Turnpike Company increased toll rates to make up the difference. The general traveling public was now asked to pay more money for a worse road. Now, in protest of high tolls and bad conditions, some communities began to build Shunpikes. One of the most famous of those Shunpike roads, about 8 miles west of Everett, was built by farmers in Friends Cove. Here's a map of the Chambersburg-Bedford Turnpike Road, and here is where it crosses the river just outside of Bedford. Farmers in Friends Cove, who just wanted to drive their wagons into Bedford, were stopped to pay a toll. So those farmers built a little side road that conveniently bypassed the toll booth. That Shunpike, it's gone today, but you can clearly see it in this 1939 aerial photograph. Within a few months, the Turnpike Company responded by moving the toll booth here. The farmers also responded by burning down the Turnpike Company's wooden bridge. Within a few months, the Chambersburg-Bedford Turnpike Company called a truce in the toll wars. Toll collections were stopped, toll gates were dismantled, and the Chambersburg-Bedford Turnpike Company was dissolved. this was once again a free road. Travelers still passed through Everett, but it was the railroad north of Everett that was carrying most passengers, coal, timber, and other commodities through the area. But Main Street, it would rise again as a major thoroughfare with a new form of locomotion. And a boy named Chester Carnes, he would be part of it. Chester Carnes was born in 1887, and as a boy, he worked just across the street from the church here in his father's carriage and wagon business. When he was 12 years old, he was reading stories of the new horseless carriages built by Olds, Packard, and Ford. And by his 17th birthday, Chester built his own, an Everett original, the Carnes car. At first, Chester's car was a pretty unusual sight here, but by 1915, lots of cars were passing through Everett on a new road that stretched from New York City to San Francisco. This was America's first coast-to-coast road, and Main Street here, it was a part of it. That road was the Lincoln Highway. By 1930, more than 20 million cars were owned in America, and most of the 3,200-mile-long Lincoln Highway was paved. So once again, throngs of travelers are passing through Everett. The number of travelers and the town's population both reached their peak in 1940, when a new paradigm, a new road, changed the nature of travel once again. The Pennsylvania Turnpike, one of America's very first superhighways, opened in 1940. It was patterned after a highway built in Germany several years earlier, the Autobahn. And just like the Autobahn, the Pennsylvania Turnpike opened up with no speed limit. Travel time from Philadelphia to Pittsburgh was just 5 hours. But with limited access roads, there was no direct exit here into Everett. Cross-country travel through Everett dropped off, and the town's population began to decrease from 2,400 in 1940 to about 1,800 today. Our last stop on this video tour is, I believe, the most historically significant hallmark of this little town. It is a story of character, courage, and sacrifice. Our last stop is the Veterans Wall of Honor.